All right, it is 5 o'clock. Welcome to Flow Tricks. It is Ken. We're in quite some time. Like this is quite an era that we're in. Before we begin, though, I just want to thank Dark Monk and thank Flow Toys. Dark Monk, they make my training chucks, my fire chucks, and Flow Toys, they make my LED chucks. And today, what we're doing is this is an open forum. So if you have any questions at all about nunchucks, spinning, flow arts, performance, anything like that, be sure to message me. Either you can try to message me on Facebook, but it's easier to find me on YouTube. I have to check manually for Facebook, so it still works. I just have to check it, but I can read the YouTube right on the screen, which helps a lot. And then also, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. This has just been. You guys all know that this is just a crazy time right now, especially in America, for you guys in America, and I think. Especially now more than ever, it's really good to have an outlet such as flow or an artistic outlet to be able to get your frustrations out and to be able to get your feelings out in a way that's healthy, as well as if you're a part of the movement or if you're not, just making sure that you guys are okay, like you guys are doing good, Do what you think is right, of course. I just hope you guys all stay safe and be safe. I know over here we've got a curfew at 8 p.m. because of the protesting that could be happening, and we're not even from the state where it happened, so I'm assuming there's a lot of this going around. So if there's anything that I could really wish for all of you guys, it's just that you all are safe and you guys do what you feel is right and you remain healthy. With that said, I do think that arts such as all kinds of arts are always helpful and handy, and especially in the hardest or most stressful times, I think it's very important to have an outlet that you can put your emotions into that's going to be healthy, that's going to be constructive and be able to allow you to express yourself. That's not to say that you should put everything into your art, but just to say to get rid of the excess so you can have that focus and know what you want to do or what you need to do, which is, of course it's completely up to you, but having that clarity is always helpful, especially in times when there's a lot of friction and it's really, really easy, like a drop of a pin almost, to just go one way or the other, like full blast, when really everything is always a balancing act. So I hope that you all are trying to stay balanced and that you're able to see where you need to go. Some of you guys see that you need to come here, which is good. This is an open forum, so be sure to ask me whatever questions you want. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll cover pass variations and catch variations today until we run out of questions, or we'll live stream for at least a half hour or so. Preferably an hour, just depends on what kind of questions we have. And then also, if you have a video that you'd like to send me, of course, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Before I begin too, I also want to let you know that I've been thinking about it, and I think I'm going to do a world tour. So if you know a dojo, if you know some places that would like to host me from anywhere around the world, I do need to make enough to make ends meet so I can afford the flights and the travel and still make a little bit on top of that, just so we can keep the funding going. But if you do know some places, please email me, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. I'm collecting them right now, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. So I haven't responded to all of them yet, but I would love to set up, just connect the dots for sometime next year or the beginning of the year after, so 2021, 2022, set up some workshops that we can do from all around the world, do some fire dancing afterwards, do a show for everyone, and teach everyone nunchucks face to face. I think that would be really, really fantastic. I'm going to give some shout outs and then answer some questions, and then we'll begin. PPB, hey Ken, big fan. Awesome. Welcome. Hello Hawkeye, and what's up IQ Flow? Good to see you again too. I also got some people from Facebook. We got Robin, Kober, William Lewis. Got a couple more people. I just got to bring it up here. Brad Worth, Tyler Wardham, and Joseph Duproy. I think it's Duproy. I may pronounce that wrong. So thank you. And lastly, I got one more thing I want to say, which is just wanted to thank one more person here. Lots of thank yous today. Come on, where are we? All right, can't find it right now. Well, shoot. All right, give me a second. Remus Gillis is our latest Patreon donor. I want to start shouting out to everyone that donates on my Patreon or that signs up. So thank you, Remus, for your Patreon donation. Really appreciate it. We are almost up We're almost up to half a year. We're halfway through 2020. What a crazy year. Oh my God, mind blown. Anyways, I think it's about time to spin some nunchucks now. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to send a message, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com, or ask me on Facebook or YouTube. That said, let's go ahead and just work on some passes and work on some catches. All right, actually, let's start with catches. Catches are fun. So, I'm gonna start with the basics. Notice I didn't change my screen this time. I'm trying this out to see if we can just go with one camera just to see how this works. Let me know. Hopefully everything's coming through okay. So when we're talking about catches, we're basically saying the nunchuck is in motion and it stops somewhere. Usually when people think of a catch, they think I'm gonna catch it with my hand. But there's a couple of other catches that you can do and some nice variations that you can do with it. So I thought we would cover a couple of catches and catch variations. First off, if you catch with your palm facing upwards and the nunchuck is spinning counterclockwise, you probably know this catch very well. This is a pretty simple catch. You basically go into an underhand grip from this catch. Now from there, what you can do is take your right hand, push down, and then catch it. So basically, the moment my left hand catches, I don't let it go, and my right hand pushes the nunchuck in front, so it's gonna move in front. It's gonna be in front so it can do a rotation, and then my hand becomes a back grip as well, so we end up in two back grips. So again, we're gonna go like this. Spin it this way, palm up, grab a catch. This hand pushes down, so it spins the opposite way, and catch. This puts us in two back grips, which is nice because we probably were in two front grips to start with. Catch, catch. Now we're two back grips. And then we can do the exact opposite, where we can push this up again, and now it's going the opposite direction, so our hand turns the opposite way as well, palm facing towards the ground, catch, and we can do the same thing with the other hand too. Right now the palm's facing up, we push up, reverses direction, down. And now we're in two front grips again, so we can do our, maybe we do a moon wave or something, then we push, push, and then we're in the back grip and we do something fancy here, and then push, push, and we're back to two front grips. So this kind of passing, as you can see, I can do this forever. So if I keep catching from this direction, I'll always be able to keep catching in the back grip position. But the moment that I change the rotation, then it changes the grip. So every time I'm pushing this direction, basically I'm gonna call this to the inside. My hand is always pulling downward, downward, then it's gonna be a back grip. And when I push upwards, upwards, so if my hand is moving upwards, it'll always be a front grip. Again, hand moving up ends up in a front grip. Hand moving down puts it into a back grip. Down is a back grip, up ends in a front grip. This is a great way, again, for you to be able to mix up your catches, and that's just catch combos basically. We're just going up and down like a ladder. So that's a nice little thing. So keep that in mind. There's lots of different ways you can catch nunchucks. Obviously, you can catch it upside down or catch it crossed. But the most basic one that I can think of is understanding this, because this is also a great way to change your grip. See, so if we want to do, let's say we want to do an X catch, right? That requires a front grip and a back grip. You can do this where we're in two front grips, and then you realize you just need to get one hand to a back grip. So what do? You just do it once. Now you're in a front back grip, and you can do your motion. Really cool. The next thing we want to talk about with some catches is going to be, well, let's go ahead. This is technically a catch. We call it a clutch because we're catching it with our armpit. But don't forget about this one. This one's a great catch. We do it all the time. A lot of times people will catch it just so they can swing out and attack again like this. Nothing wrong with that. Or they can swing it upwards from here. So the moment you catch it, you have variety. You have different types of motions. In fighting or martial arts, you'd use this as a way to trick the opponent so they don't know which direction that you're going to swing from, because there's a lot of different directions that you can go with this. One thing you can also do is, because the chuck is behind you like this, you can reach behind and actually grab it. Now it's really hard to see from the front, but basically if I grab from here, I've got a lot of options. For instance, I can pull it straight up to the other side without people even realizing that I'm basically, snatching it from behind me, basically. One of my favorite ones is to do this is an actual throw. So I'm going to turn my back and I'll show you how it looks. So if I do this and I grab here, if I grab and I do this behind the back catch, I can basically pull my hand into a throw. So I grab it and then I swing it straight sideways like this. So it's from grab to here. If I was standing this way, I'm in the clutch, I grab and push straight out like that. And what it's going to look like is this. Boom, 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 whoosh. If I do it from the front, it'll look like this. Catch, catch. Oops. So catch, here. If I do it from the back so you can see it, catch, grab, flick, catch. So it's a nice little variant, you know, nice way to psych people out. Just grab it from the back, turn with it, and grab. Now there's also another one that's less used, but you can clutch obviously from the inside of the armpit. You can also clutch it from up top like this. This causes the chuck to kind of pinch. Well, obviously it's a reverse clutch. But this does open up a really nice, easy ability just to grab it from here and redirect it. It's generally not used as much. There are a few options you can do with this thing, but it's generally, there's not a whole lot you can do. There's a lot less motion you can do with this kind of clutch, but you can grab it in order to just redirect it, you know, catch. So with this one, the most common one is going to be to clutch it and then to grab this open area. Keep in mind you may need to switch a grip to a mid grip or even a low grip just to have enough space for this to pull itself through like that. If you grab from the bottom, sometimes you can even pull off like a whole shoulder roll. Now, usually you need a longer chuck. A 14-inch chuck works better, but there's a way you can roll the chuck all the way across your shoulder. That's not necessarily a grip per se, but it is something to take note because there are very few moves that I find come in handy with this one. You can also pop this up, and if your chuck is long enough, you can grab it from here to rotate it out. But again, you're really going to need to eat this as close as possible because there's very little space. So you may even have to pull it into a back grip, but then you also can come up with different motions and different ways to catch it as well. So you do have some options. They're a little bit less than the standard one. Here you have full control and you also have reach at the back, but there is something. Also with the regular clutch, you can even change your hands, and we've done that before with the flicks like that. Let's just go over that real quick too. So basically all I have to do is just exchange hands. So I do a clutch, boom. I grab it with the other hand, and then what this is going to do is this is just going to I'm going to get my forearm underneath the other side, and as I pull it from my shoulder, I flick it upwards like that. And that flick is almost similar to a middle lane reverse figure eight catch. It's going to be the same thing. So if I'm turning to the side, you'll see I'm lifting and I'm flicking, and it's flicking right into a clutch. So here, whoosh, here. And change hands, whoosh, here. See? So hand comes up, swish, catch. Exchange hands, swish, catch. Exchange hands, swish, catch. So, nice little trick. All right. And then I'm gonna read because I have a few more things. Like I said, I'm only using one camera today. I wanted to try it out, see if I can get an angle. It is a little yellow. I feel a little yellow today, but no, that's not an Asian joke. I am part Asian, but I think it's just this coloring of the lighting. Joshua Kidd, nice to hear from you again. Yeah, good. Glad to see you back. Every Sunday. I'm going to try to make 5 p.m. I've thought about it long and hard. I think 5 o'clock is going to be better than 7 o'clock just because more people are awake at 5 p.m. CST here. Anthony, hello Ken. Hope you had an amazing day. Hope you did too, man. Hope you all are having a good day today. Well, let's go back to catches or clutches and all that fun jazz. If anyone has any requests or questions, though, be sure to send it because this is the time to ask me if you need any help with anything. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and keep going over catches. So we went over this catch, which is a way to switch from front grip to back grip. Remember, you push it down, it goes into a back grip. So as I push it down, we end in a back grip, and as I push it up, we end in a front grip. Right? So that's one way you can work with catches. Another thing you can do is you can catch with your armpit. You can catch reverse armpit like this. What are other ways that we can do it? All right, next thing we're gonna do is we're going to hold out your arm like this. This is gonna be a pretty easy one. You've seen me do this a million times, but let's go ahead and do this catch. It is the bicep catch. And instead of catching with our hand, we let it fall into our bicep. Now the trick to getting a good bicep catch is to raise both your arms at the same time like this. So as one comes up and one comes down, they kind of raise and drop appropriately. Oh, and by the way, Aiki Flow, I'm Korean. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move up and down like this, and then this is gonna land into the fold of the bicep and we're gonna pinch it in. So the reason why I say lift your hand is that's gonna help you find that nice little cushion, because as you drop your hand, it's gonna allow this to sink in. If you just held it out like this, it may bounce, you have less time, but if both hands move, it gives you more time to let it sink in, plus it looks nice. So this is the bicep catch, you've probably seen it. Again, the bicep catch doesn't have as many moves, but there is a couple of them. Here's one. If you catch it kind of in a middle pass, I would consider this intermediate. You can fling this down and actually roll it over. It'll roll over from the bottom, roll over the top, and you catch it from the other side. So it's not the easiest move, but this is beyond the basics. So now if you're in the basics, the best thing to do from the basics is probably just to pop your elbow back up to get it out. So in this fashion, a beginner would pop it up like that. Boom. See how it just kind of pops up? So it's almost like that. So we can pop it up and then get it back into a rotation. If you want to be fancy, like I said, or if you're an intermediate, you're going to push it through the bottom like that, and that will give you, well, basically a roll around the bicep. Another thing you can do is the bicep X catch, and this one you should know the X catch. If you don't know the X catch, this one's going to be a pretty tricky one. You're going to catch it with your bicep like this, but this time you're going to push it through the bicep, and it's the same function as an X catch. This is basically going to push this over the top of your hand while this goes through the bottom. The force between both of them is going to allow the exchange. Remember to open up your hand, because this is eventually going to go across the bottom, and this will go across the top like this. So in fast motion, it looks like from here to there. In slow motion, we're going here, we're pushing through the revolution. Remember, this time though, it's going to be the hand. Here's what it looks like without it. Open the hand, push it through, drop. That's all that it's doing. Open, push, drop. All of the force is coming from the rope. And there's not a lot of moves from here. This is kind of an awkward one, but one thing you can do is when the biceps pinch down on here, you can take your other hand and flick it over, and you can just flick it to the other side into another bicep catch. I would consider that, I don't want to say advanced, but pretty close. So this main move goes like this. We push it into a bicep X catch, and then the right hand pushes over, and as it pushes over, the right hand then catches it too. So you're pushing it and catching it with the same hand. Here, to here, to here. And as you catch it with the other hand, you remove out of the bicep and catch inward. That will be, hey, we just did a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Pretty cool. About to drink some kombucha. Give me a second. Good stuff. Guys, I used to hate kombucha. Ugh. It's like, it just kind of tastes like pickle juice. But now I'm like so hooked on it. I don't know what happens to people's taste buds as they get older, but the things that I liked as a kid and the things I like now, two totally different things. Even the things I liked 5 years ago, two totally different Kens. I'll read a couple questions and then I'll either get back to business or answer the questions depending on what the questions are. All right. Lot of love, Mr. Hill. Send a band. Nice. I should. Ike Flow, nice mix. It's on my list of places to visit. Yes. Dutch Flying Chucks. Hey Ken, Gunther here. Hey Gunther, thanks again for the feedback on my first movie last week, of course. I was so euphoric that I forgot to thank the other chat users. So thanks anyways, guys. Most welcome. Like, I love getting this. Plus, as a live stream, like I want material and I want to provide you guys stuff that helps. Like I want to give you guys good stuff. That's what I love about these live streams is I can answer your questions directly. Because otherwise I'm just like I was showing these catches, I'll do all these random moves and some of you guys will like it and some won't, but if I know that someone's asking the question, then I know for sure someone will benefit from it. So that's always helpful. Ike Flow, I like the bicep catch where you cut through with the catching arm. Oh yeah, Yep, that's a good one. And there's so many variations that I've yet to even discover. I feel like sometimes you just want to play with it once you get the technique down and see what you can come up with. I do feel like, and this plagues a lot of flow arts too, there's some things that I feel like you can technically do, but it just doesn't have the aesthetics. For instance, even if you caught it, you could just like play around with swinging the chucks with your elbow, but aesthetically, I just don't like this look. So there are some things that people could do to like, there are more moves than what I'm showing you guys, but there's a lot of times I'm at the drawing board and I might come up with a cool concept in my head, but then the moment I start playing with it, I'm like, I don't like the way it just looks weird. But you can come up with some interesting moves. For instance, I just played with that and I realized I could get a roll behind the back of the arm. I don't know if there's anything that could be done with that though, because that still looks sloppy to me. But I'm just saying, like, don't be afraid to try out stuff that I haven't even tried, you know, because there might be something crazy out of that. And you're gonna drop a lot, but that is why we call it the play state. So yeah, that's kind of weird, right? You could even just like get double bicep catch, go through the back, and then maybe do a Simex pop if you can get it just right. It's kind of hard. It'd be easier if I was able to use my hands to catch it like that. But I definitely think you all should keep playing with techniques and tricks. Don't just like take what I teach and don't like keep exploring and go further, because there's a lot of different variations to everything, including the bicep X catch. I'm sure there's, oh yeah, I remember one where you can go sideways with it. So there's still a clear path for the hand to go straight out. So if I do a bicep X catch from here, as I go outward, then the arm becomes almost like gives it almost like enough force to, it's almost like a rip, but it becomes a back to front hand roll. So here it goes into a back grip, and then we push it forward. Oops. We push it forward from here, open up the hand, and it becomes a back to front hand roll. You do have to get a nice clean plane because you have very little space to get around that elbow. But there's just all kinds of variants that you can come up with and combos. So just because you get that technique, man, it's just the beginning. There's so much more that you can take it. Don't ever forget that. All right. Oop. Chuck fell. Let me know if you guys want to work on singles or doubles. I'll just keep doing singles for now, unless otherwise requested. Let's see here. Awesome Sensei. Holy Moly Does Stuff says, what's the chasm? 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 I don't actually know how that's pronounced. It's it's a move I haven't worked on in a long time. So I may not be able to demonstrate it this time, but it's basically when you're in two back grips and then you go over. So we're basically kind of doing a moon wave, but we're taking our thumbs and pulling it over here. And the chasm, and I have to practice this again, but the chasm is basically rotating the chuck to where it rotates 180 degrees to the other side. But I haven't done this in a while, so you got to give it like a little bit of a rotation to get it to basically, it's leaping a big hole. You're basically trying to leap past this hole so it doesn't fall in and reach the other side of the hand. So these chucks have to leap to the opposite side. Unfortunately, I forgot how I generated that force because it's been such a long time. It's in one of my old videos. It's one of those videos that I made a long time ago, and I kind of remember it, but I haven't done it in about 5 years probably. It's really cool though, so you just have to take my word for it. It's one of those ones where I'm gonna have to practice it a bit before I can get it and try to remember what the trick was, because there was a trick to generating power. I just don't remember it. I just remember the beginning was 2 back grips. So we go here. Like if we're in 2 front grips, hey, remember if you push it down and down, you go into back grips, and then you flip it backwards over the thumbs. But I can't remember exactly how that power came, like how I was able to generate that power. I'll have to think on that one. Anthony, can you teach catching a nunchuck on your finger from a horizontal aerial? Well, catching a nunchuck on the finger is not easy because you're trying to spot the chuck, and it's not something that I can do often, and it's something I haven't really practiced a whole lot of because the only people that notice it are chuckers. So, but I do think the trick to catching with the chuck like that is sticking your finger as high as you can and not trying to catch it with your finger, but follow slightly above the chuck. So as the chuck is going down, you're kind of sneaking your finger up into the chuck. Well, sorry, I need to stand back. As the chuck is going up and down, pretend the chuck is spinning right now. Whoosh. Chuck is spinning right now. I'll just hold it here for a second. My hand is where the rope is. If the chuck is going up, as it goes down, I'm not thinking about trying to jam my finger into the rope more as try to follow the spin of the chuck and get my finger kind of like get my hand right below the chuck, and always keeping the hand below the chuck, and it'll just naturally, the string will naturally just roll into the finger. But it's still a little bit tricky. I find that's easier than trying to spot this string and try to say, how can I get my finger to catch the string? I think it's easier to say, how can I get my hand to follow this chuck that's coming down? So as it's coming down, my hand moves down with it until the finger automatically catches across the rope. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So it's more of a spotting technique, I think, in terms of don't think about the rope, think about the chuck. It's just like if people that have used fire chucks. The only thing that's lit is the thing you should not grab. So you have to spot using the fire, but your focus is actually on not the fire. Because if you focus on the fire and you grab that, obviously you will burn yourself. So it's the same way. As this is coming up and down, we're looking at the chuck and we're trying to get our hand slightly below the chuck the whole time, and it should roll around the finger naturally if you can catch it. It's a spotting technique. Dutch flying nunchucks. Recently I ordered new chucks from AliExpress. Mine sounds like an old machine now. Unfortunately, the ordered chucks didn't pass border controlled. So I contacted Chad from Dark Monk. That's too bad. That's too bad. I can't believe, I'm going to be honest, we're in 2020 now. I still can't believe that nunchucks being illegal is a thing anywhere. Like, samurai swords, so much more dangerous. And then here we are ordering like padded nunchucks and foam nunchucks, and customs is still holding on to it. Like, that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. Yeah, so Dark Monk, they will send it in 2 parts. My old chucks and yours are completely different. Can you tell me about your chucks? Well, my chucks are from Dark Monk. These are the studio nunchucks. And, I mean, I love them. Like, the reason why I love these chucks is well, there's a few reasons. I will say this. They are a little bit heavier than foam. And by a little, I mean they're significantly heavier than the light foam chucks. The thing about the foam chucks that I usually recommend to people is for a couple reasons. The biggest reason why I recommend foam nunchucks for people is because of the liabilities of not knowing or being able to see how people train. Because some people train like madmen and they're crazy to the point where I need to recommend something where I know they won't hurt themselves, right? The problem with foam is that they're really, really light. So what's gonna happen is, like when I'm doing my figure 8 wrist rolls, you guys can see that I can create this really nice speed. What people don't realize is a lot of the speed well, you may or may not be able to realize this, but a lot of the speed happens because they're a little bit heavier than foam. You guys probably have noticed this, but if you use light chucks, you kind of have to force your weight into the chucks the whole time. And if you don't force your weight into it, the chucks actually slow down. There's air resistance that fights the chucks. So if you have a little bit of weight pushing it through, it helps out. But at the same time, you want a chuck that's a little bit safer, which is why I like these, because these are padded nunchucks, so you can still hit yourself. They're not gonna feel great, especially if you hit the edge on your face or whatnot, but they're definitely better than oak. And another thing that I like is the fact that the middle of the chuck and the end of the chuck is very pronounced. So if I need to slide my hand over, see how I got a middle grip, I just barely open up my hand and slide it down, and it's a very easy way for me to exchange grips. So if I have like if I have this and I want to go into a low grip, I just let my hand slip out into the low grip because I know exactly where it's at. So whoosh, here, so then I might be able to do, whatever I want to do, like drop it. Now I gotta do that one again, hold on. There we go. So the ability to slide the chuck is good. The weight is very similar to a fire nunchuck too. So anyone that wants to do this professionally on the circus side of things, understanding the weight, having the similarities in the weight will make it a lot easier to transition into the circus world. And of course, I don't know if you guys saw my YouTube video today, but I just posted one where I was doing some fire dancing. That is where my passion is totally at. I love fire dancing, it's great. So yeah, that's all I have to say about these chucks. They're just really good. I like the rope. I've had these for quite a while now, and I've never had to replace the rope ever. I don't know, just something about like having just a nice weight that I really like. Again, these are not going to be as light, so when you're doing hyper style, you may not be able to go as fast, but the weight carries itself. So once you get it going, as I drop it, once you get it going, you basically just have to lightly glide it and let the weight carry itself. And I think that's really important to note, because it's a huge difference between lightweight and heavy nunchucks is how much force you have to maintain. Light chucks, great with hyper style, great with bounces. You do a lot less damage to yourself. Heavy chucks, great with rolls and throws and things of that nature. Or I should say heavier chucks. All right, let's see here. By the way, I still have trouble to stand still and only move my arms. Oh, that's okay. I mean, struggling about footwork. I feel like footwork is something, if you stand still or moving your arms, these are all things that take time. A matter of fact, if you watch my old YouTube videos, maybe 8 years ago, I was a lot more complicated than I am now. I'm just more fluid today than I was back in the old days, but I was really technical back in those days, but I didn't move. My movement was very less than ideal. I wasn't as connected to my body as I am now with my chucks. So I think it's something that takes time, and it can take quite a bit of time. Just do little steps to integrate it. Like I said, I remember that we did one pass to get your left hand integrated. So if you're able to get that pass now, add one more thing this week to your left hand, and that's how we get your left hand more involved. Teach something new to your left hand, and try this. Teach something new to your left hand that you can't do with your right hand, and it will make it more interesting. So as you do I think we did the cross pass, was it? Or was it I can't remember, is it the rotor pass or the cross pass? But add one new trick to it. So Gunther, I remember we were talking, was it the cross pass? I think it was the rotor pass. I think it was the rotor pass that I was showing you, because you haven't integrated your left hand enough yet. So what we were trying to do is try to get it to where you could integrate it. So add one more thing to do with this. One thing you might do is, instead of a rotor pass like this, pass the actual rope over into the middle of your hand and work on chain unwinders. And then go back. So I have a section on chain unwinders. I've got a couple of videos for it, but I do want to show you the basics of how this works right now. So basically, if we're spinning this counterclockwise with our right hand, you want to hold your palm up to the sky with your left, and you're just trying to rest the rope onto your hand, and then you grab it. So it's here, rope on the hand, and grab it. Actually, I'm sorry, you're going to actually reach out just like a rotor pass. Do it this way, because otherwise we won't be able to get the rotation going. The moment the rope lands on the hand, you're going to pinch inward and you're going to twist it the opposite way. That's why we can't do it this way, because I forgot, you're at the edge. You're actually going to reach out just like you would a rotor pass. So keep your hand out here, grab it like this, keep your fist and twist it, and then twist it the other way and twist it back and forth. Once you get the hang of this, you're eventually going to open your hand when it's moving clockwise. Open your hand when it moves clockwise. And the cool thing is, it's very similar to a rotor pass in that if your right hand does sneak under here, you can grab it right here and pull it away just like you did with the rotor pass. So you can go here, look for the hand, get your hand in the same placement, and as the chuck comes by, you grab it and release. So here, grab it. See? So now you have two variations. That's some homework for you to work on, Gunther. You got whatever you do with your right hand, and then we have the rotor pass. I'm pretty sure that's the one we covered. And now we're gonna do a chain unwinder just for a second, and then we're gonna go back into your right hand. Every week, if you add one thing to your left hand, or every couple weeks, if you add one thing to your left hand, just think in a year you'll have, 26 to 52 new moves just with your left. And if you teach something different with your left than with your right, then it's going to make it more interesting for you to go to your left. So to start with, I would say teach your left hand new moves. It'll be more interesting for you because you would have had to learn it on your right hand anyways, and it'll give your left hand a different kind of strength. I think I've said this before, but in martial arts, my right foot is my power foot, and my left foot is my flexible foot. So when I needed to kick high, I'd kick with my left, and if I needed to drive in with power, I'd use my right. And in the same way, your right and your left hand may have different characteristics. You just have to figure out what they might be. All right, I am going to continue forward here. I'm going to read some more questions. Okay. Oh, last week you learned me how to use my left hand by the rotor pass. You have number 2 to use with my left hand. That's funny. I just I didn't read far enough. I was already reading your mind. In the Netherlands, they think this material is a weapon. They really do. And same with America. In some places, they put it as like a federal offense, just as bad as a sawed-off shotgun. These guys, right? It's ridiculous. PPB says, for the last few days, I've been trying to practice the over-the-shoulder pass, but unfortunately, I fractured my right hand on Friday, so I won't be able to practice for a while. That sucks. Man, I'm sorry to hear that you fractured your right hand. I've been managing to use my left hand for a few techniques, though I'm not as good. Yeah, so, I mean, I dislocated my shoulder. I haven't fractured my hand, but I definitely feel that. Like, I dislocated my right shoulder. I don't know if you guys have seen those old videos, but basically my shoulder froze, and I couldn't lift my hand past this high. I had to like give myself physical therapy, and it took me about 6 months to be able to reach this high. What happened was, even though I dislocated it and it got put back in place, I didn't have medical insurance at the time, so it's called a frozen shoulder, and that's basically the shoulder locks and it won't move, and I couldn't move my hand like basically past here when I first started, and I had to teach myself to lift my arm from scratch, and it took almost 3/4 of a year to finally get my stuff back, and I couldn't do a push-up for a whole year. But I feel that. But then what happened was my left started getting better especially with, oops. As you can see, I don't practice my left enough anymore. Especially with digit rolls, I was really working on my left. Looks like it leaves you a little bit though if you don't practice it. Until my right hand got better, that is. There's definitely some moves that I learned in that time frame that I couldn't use my right hand. The left hand, my left hand definitely was able to pick up some new moves. So I guess this is a long ramble. Just basically, I feel your pain, man. Totally do. I'm glad that you're working your left though. We can keep going, you know. That's the nice thing. You still have another arm at least. Hopefully your hand will heal soon though. Hawkeye, hi sir, how are you? Nice to see you again. Yeah, thank you. I'm doing pretty good. I was a little sidetracked today. I'm gonna be honest, I think I read too much news lately. I've just been a little concerned with how things have been moving, but I'm doing pretty good overall, you know. And I hope you guys are all doing well too. Anthony, I love fire dancing. It's amazing. I used iron powder yesterday. First additive, I loved it. Oh yeah, additives are great. Definitely good to be experienced with fire dancing before you start adding additives. So it's good that you learned it first and then moved over to that. But in my opinion, especially with nunchucks or things like that, where you got a small prop, it doesn't cover a lot of stuff. Like people can have these huge fire staffs, fire coming everywhere like Darth Maul. But when you have a smaller prop, using additives can really add emphasis to the patterns that you create. Hawkeye, please talk about some of the worst injury that could happen while performing with nunchucks. Sure. I mean, injuries with nunchucks are uncommon, especially if you're not with performing nunchucks, I should say. If you're performing with fire nunchucks, that's different. Obviously, if you are if you're not following the fire dancing rules, you could end up burning a venue down or burning yourself. The odds of that are pretty low as long as you know how to follow the rules, which is why it's very important to understand fire dancing and not just pick up a pair of fire nunchucks, lighting it up without reading about it. It's very important to understand because it's an art that must be respected. But if we're talking about regular nunchucks, it's pretty hard to hurt yourself. I will say probably one of the worst injuries I had was with a foam nunchuck. A foam nunchuck. And it's the one that impacted me the most. Like, I didn't dislocate my shoulder because of chucks. It just affected my ability to spin. But a direct injury from the chuck was using a foam nunchuck and doing this move. Here, 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 right? That was the move that messed with me the most. And the reason why is because my angle was off when I did this. And basically as this crossed, it scraped a layer off my eye. It scraped a layer off of my eye. And every night I would go to bed, right? Something would happen where whenever I woke up, the layer of my eye would tear, and it felt like someone just stabbed a needle in my eye. And I had to deal with that for about 4 years. It still happens to me, even to this day. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll re-tear that part. And it was all just because this thing just scraped a layer off my eye, and it's called a recurrent corneal abrasion, and there's nothing they can do about it without, surgery. And I don't want to take surgery, so it doesn't happen too often, but there was a time where it would happen every night I went to bed, and then I had to take special medicine, and it was all just because a foam nunchuck just slashed just like the corner of my eye, and it messed it up. But if you could imagine just waking up every morning and feeling like someone just stabbed you in the eye with a needle, and then you just eye is watering for 3 hours, and it's just, it was a pain. That was probably the worst injury that I had. It's super annoying, and it's hard to see for a couple hours a day, and it was just, I went to the doctors, and I just can't believe it was a foam nunchuck that did me in. Another injury that I got was using metal or wood nunchucks. I almost destroyed this part of my bone when I was first starting it. I was doing a photo shoot, and I was going really, really fast, and then I went to do a pose, and I dropped this, and it bashed this part of my bone, right? My whole hand went numb, but I tried to ignore it, and my angle was off, like my arm was messed up, and I tried to do it again, and I hit the same bone the second time in a row with heavy nunchucks, and then my hand just like completely buzzed out. Like it almost felt like I got electrocuted in my hand. And that was another injury where it took me years to heal, and even now, if I bump it wrong, I get the buzz in my hand, like all my nerves just are on fire all the way to my fingertips. And that was from heavy nunchucks, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a huge proponent against heavy nunchucks, because I did that. People can say, oh, the pain will teach you how to do better, and that's partially true, but I have a permanent injury now from that, and if I'm in the middle of a show and I accidentally smack that bone, my hand will go numb and I'll just drop my prop. I won't be able to hold on to it, and I know this, and so now I've had to rebuild the way that I spin so I don't accidentally do that. So I'm against using heavy nunchucks and using pain as a lesson, because it just creates a vulnerability in my ability to perform well now. Again, I'm really cautious. I never hit that, so it's good, but I don't want other people to like have to learn that way. I don't think that's the best way to learn. All right, Hawkeye, can you come up with how to come up with new moves and combinations? Okay, so first let's talk about coming up with new moves, and then let's talk about coming up with combinations. Coming up with new moves is pretty easy. I'm going to give you an example. To come up with new moves, you have to be in the play state. The play state is basically, when I talk about it, there's 3 states of training. There's the play state, which is where you're exploring or you're experimenting, prepare to drop a lot. You're not trying to perfect anything. You're trying to come up with new moves. There's the train state. That's where you're trying to optimize everything. You're trying to sharpen up your throws. You want to get everything a little bit more on target. You're not being creative at all. You're a machine and you're doing repetition until you can fine tune everything. And then the flow state is where you let all that go and you become an expression. You play music, you learn how to move with the music, to move with your energies. The flow state is how you perform or present all of the techniques. When you're in the play state, the biggest thing that it pulls from all the other states. So the play state pulls from the flow state, and comes from the train state. What you do is you take variables. For instance, the rotor pass as these 2 passes, right? So if you want to come up with a new technique, you have to think about this pass for a second. Think about how it works. My hand is grabbing here, my other hand's grabbing here, right? And then you have to say, what if? What if I tried to catch it with my finger here instead of catching it with my hand? Then what? What would that do? Okay, so it rolls like that. Now, how do I catch it from there? If you understand how the play state works, you're basically taking techniques or combinations and you're stopping. You're only doing partial techniques. You're stopping it, and then you're saying, well, what if I change something? So what if instead of here, when I grabbed it here, what if I pushed it this direction? What could we do here? Could I catch it and sink it into my belly? Or could I, what else could we do from this point? Well, we would be in a back grip, And so that's how you kind of create new ideas, is you use the ideas that you already have, but then you hit a stopping point. You say, okay, I'm not going to finish this combo. I'm not going to finish this idea. So like if we're doing a chain unwinder, right? Close here, open here. Well, what if I use my other hand? What can I do with my second hand? So we're playing with ideas. Well, maybe I could put both hands in the center, Well, what if I wanted to cross my thumbs over? Is this possible? And the answer is no, I didn't do anything. But you won't know until you try. But maybe it's crossing over wrong. Maybe I need to cross it over from the inside. Then what would happen? Well, the chucks would come to the inside here. What does that mean? I don't know. It doesn't do anything yet. But what could I do to make it worth? What can I do to make it work? Do you understand? Once you start asking the what ifs, it goes down an endless path. You can keep following it. So just because you say, what if, oh, that doesn't work, don't stop. Think, well, how can I make it work from here? And that's kind of how that's how I come up with new moves, is you have to be able to break apart your moves and then just stop it midway and then think, let's change the direction. Let's change it up a little bit. Now, when you're talking about combos, I think it's really important to understand that chucks move in certain directions and your grip are very important. So a chuck that moves counterclockwise can do a rotor pass, right? We can do this rotor pass because it's moving counterclockwise with my right hand. If it's moving clockwise, the rotor pass no longer works because it doesn't cross our grip here. It moves in a totally different direction. So what you have to think about is the direction that your chuck is moving. And if it helps, this is the part where I say you can use flashcards. Go ahead and sit down, write write a list of all of the moves where your chuck is flowing counterclockwise, this is counterclockwise, counterclockwise, and then one where it's moving clockwise, and you'll notice you'll have different moves. For instance, the back-to-back with my right has to go clockwise. There's no way around it. If I go counterclockwise, then it's a front-to-front. So we know what moves work and which ones don't by the direction that they go. And if you start categorizing by clockwise, counterclockwise directions and grips, then you can just throw out 2 random cards and see. For instance, if we know a front to front is counterclockwise, and we also know that a rotor pass is counterclockwise, it's very easy to see that we can add them together. We can use it as a rotor pass into a front to front, and that's how we can build a combo. Now, I know that's a lot to take in, so I'll use the simple version of this. Basically, think of the direction that the chuck is moving, write them down on cards, and the ones that are moving in the same direction, they can flow into each other piece of cake. Minus the grip. You may need to be in a back grip for some of those. Obviously, like a back-to-back. But generally speaking, just look at the direction, grab some cards, throw out random cards, and see what you can come up with. All right. Dutch flying chucks. Thanks, I'm going to train the left hand chain unwinder. I tried it with my right hand. I guess my chain is 1 or 2 inches too long. Too long is okay. It's better to have too long of a chain than too short of a chain when we're talking chain unwinders for sure. Give me just a second here. I just want to make sure I don't have any questions on my Facebook page. Like I said, I can see all the YouTube questions. I just can't see all the... Okay, great. I can't see all the Facebook questions. I can only see the YouTube questions. All right. Good. Yeah, Dutch says he's going to train the left chain unwinder. I tried with my right hand. I guess my chain is 1 or 2 inches too long. I just read that. But yeah, no, too long is okay. They'll just wrap a little bit more. That's all. PPB says turning 15 in 2 weeks. 15? You know, if you doubled your age and added 10, I would still be older. Sorry, I just thought I'd throw that out there. That's kind of crazy. I'll be turning 15 in 2 weeks and hoping to order my first chain nunchucks since the one I'm using right now are roped. Any recommendations on which chucks to order? You know, it's really hard for me to recommend with chain. I haven't used chain in a long time, but basically if you go to the Century store or any martial arts store, you have a ton of chucks to choose from. Depending on how comfortable you are with them will depend. Obviously, if you're just starting out, foam is always going to be the highest recommendation if you're comfortable with that though. I mean, you have the lighter woods like rattan. Those are nice. I used to have a prized pair of graphite chucks that I absolutely love, but those were damaging. Those hurt when they hit you. I also want to recommend, I want to see if I have this or not. If you do use heavy chucks, hold on. I'm trying to see if I have it. There are these great elbow pads called hex pads. I don't have one on me right now. I don't have one right around me. But my favorite thing to use whenever you're using heavier chucks or chucks that could hurt your elbows, they're called hex pads. Look them up, HEXPADS. And they're just like these padded foams. They're used for athletes, usually in sports. But you can put them on your elbows, and then if you accidentally smack your elbows, it's like nothing. Doesn't affect you at all. Basically, they're just hexagonal, a bunch of foam hexagonal pads wrapped in like this, you know, like into an armband basically. But you put them on your elbows, and it's really, really protective against any kinds of injuries that you could have with them. I love them. I used to use them all the time. I don't use them that much anymore, but I used to swear by them, especially when I had heavier chucks. Ike Flo says, eyes are so delicate, I feel you, mate. That really made me cringe. Oh, man, that was rough, yeah. It's just, and it's one of those things because it's just like, it's such a subtle injury, but it just won't heal was the problem. If I struggled with it for a couple days, it was different, but this went for years. Has that ever happened to you in a performance where something has gone drastically wrong? I personally don't think I've ever had like drastically wrong problems with performances. A lot of times when you're doing a performance, there's something really important that I think everyone should realize when you're performing, and that is you never go outside your comfort zone during a performance. You don't take chances, you don't take risks. You do what you can do 99% of the time correctly, because that percentage will go down with adrenaline and a crowd watching you. So if you're performing, you do what you absolutely feel comfortable doing, and those odds go down, especially when there's bright stage lights in your face, or there's 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people watching you. You definitely have to learn to pace yourself. There have been accidents, of course, or mishaps, but most of them are like the guy plays the wrong song, and so all of a sudden, instead of playing this cool dubstep song or whatever, you're out there and they're playing some happy birthday kind of polka song, and you're just like, and you just got to go with it, and then all your choreography goes out the window. That's happened. Well, not polka, but something like that. It's pretty funny stuff. Let's see. Dutch says, in my first week, I was checking the distance of my chucks. While spinning, I hit my eye. I had a blue eye for 2 weeks. I feel your pain on that one, man. Ouch. I want to see. I got a message. I just want to make sure that. Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, getting eyes are just so sensitive. So sensitive. Dutch, in my first week, I was checking the distance of my chucks. Oh, wait, I already did that one. Sorry. Anthony, I did that many times with Oaks and part of the elbow. It's painful. I'm used to it. That's good. Nowadays, I do steel weight no higher than 250 grams. Yeah, keeping them light. Again, hex pads are amazing. I wish I had them. I wish I had one around. I would totally show you what they look like. But it's just a little pad that goes around your bicep, and it is super protected. You could smack it pretty hard and not feel anything, which is pretty neat. And they're not like football, like they're not like hard coated. They're all soft. It's soft and bendable, which is the thing I like about hex pads the most. Hawkeye, I just found out there's some kind of 3-section staff nunchucks. Is it more effective than our normal nunchucks if used in fighting? I mean, effectiveness is a very, very subjective thing. I think that if you're thinking about fighting, a 3-section nunchuck is going to be harder to control. You're likely to be able to get more snap and power out of it, though, because of its flexibility. It's going to bend more, so you'll be able to whip it a little bit harder. I do think it'll be more of a challenge, but I think in terms of a fight, yeah, I think that could be a pretty damaging. Yeah, I would guess that would be a pretty powerful tool. Yes. Dutch, do you have a movie on flow tricks? For the front to front throw, I tried it today, but I don't know at what time I have to release the chucks. I definitely do. I feel like I have every single technique I've ever taught on my web, on YouTube somewhere. It's lost in the mix. But let me show you a trick to figuring out how to do a front to front throw. If you know the front to front hand roll, your hand is kind of sticking out and it's twisting to the side like this, right? So as you're going counterclockwise, it's basically you're trying to get the rope to wrap around underneath the bottom. Well, we're not going to let the rope wrap around the bottom if we're going to throw it, but it's the same, the entry point is the same. Once we get to this, as soon as the chuck is at 12 o'clock and it's starting to spin down, we're going to lift up our hand and do the exact same formation, almost like a front to front, but we stop it here. So I'm spinning from here, and then my hand twists up like this. Now, you can see that I'm just pitching it with my thumb at this particular point. And the way to launch it from here is just to push straight upwards like that. So it's here, we roll it up and then push straight up like that. So the throw comes from the crook of your thumb and your pointer finger, but the elbow controls it. This popping straight up is how you control that throw. So that's how you do it. That's the simple way to describe how to do a front to front. You're spinning it this way, and then as you get ready to throw, the other side of the chuck's up here. Your hand rotates up like this, and then pushes straight up, which will cause the bottom to spin upwards all the way through. All right. Hello, Hoover. Yeah, welcome, Columbia. That's awesome. Hawkeye, what Facebook page name and how to wake up early? What's your Facebook page name and how to wake up early in the morning? My Facebook, unfortunately, I have more than 5,000 friends. I have like almost 400 requests, and I don't have enough friends. I don't have enough friends for Facebook. But let me tell you guys where I am. If you go on Instagram, I'm ken.flowtricks. If you're on Facebook, look for the official Flowtricks group. Official Flowtricks group, and you'll find 3,000 people in that Facebook group. If you're on TikTok, then it's just Flowtricks. Wait. My Instagram is no longer ken.flowtricks. It's Ken Hill Fire. KenHillFire. So Instagram is Ken Hill Fire. TikTok is Flowtricks. Facebook, just look up official Flowtricks group. and then just tag me. You can tag Ken Hill in it if you want me to see anything from there. There's also the website, flowtricks.net. Just make sure you put a www.flowtricks.net. Don't forget that one too, and I read those as well. So there's a lot. There's a lot of flow tricks, ways to talk, ways to get a hold of me. And don't forget, speaking of which, I'm here now. So like if you want to get a hold of me, this is the time, because I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions, or if you need any help with some nunchucks, this is it. Before I continue though, I just also want to say, this is like all of us, COVID has struck pretty hard. So this is kind of how I'm making a living now. So if you like these videos, if you appreciate flow tricks, if you yourself are doing good enough to be able to do this, we have a tip jar right here. PayPal.me/flowtricks is a one-time donation. If you just want to say thanks for teaching, then just drop a one-time donation. Or if you want, I have over 100 exclusive videos on my Patreon page as well. Those are just like unique videos, as well as I always try to like add more videos just for Patreon. And as time goes on, once COVID hit, I've been trying to share it with everyone just because I want to get everyone involved. But Patreon will always have a little bit more videos than the YouTube channel. Like there'll always be extra little things that I add on to it, because those are the guys that can help me support, that can keep me supported. YouTube does not pay very good at all when it comes to advertising, but Patreon has really been an amazing way to feel like to get support so I can continue this. It's great. If I had my way, man, I would just love to teach and perform my whole life. That's all I want to do. Just show people how to make this happen for themselves, and then perform it too, and just show them that this is a cool thing, So, kombucha. All right, I'm gonna keep reading down here. I'm gonna check Facebook really quick just to make sure there isn't any questions. For some reason, I'll get these people that'll ask questions, but I don't get to see it until it's too late. Nope, okay. All right, let's go back to YouTube then. Anthony, do you still practice rope dart? You got really good in a very short time. I'm talking like day 5, you're amazing. I mean, I haven't in a while, and one of the big reasons is just because I do a lot. I probably should, but if you think about it, like I do rope dart, chucks, double chucks, staff, double staff. I made my own H staff, contact staff, regular staff. I've definitely trained a lot of different props, sear wheel, and then I'm also doing projection mapping, and I also own my own business, and I do YouTube, and it's just the non-stop swirl of different things that I'm always revolving around. So anymore, I'm really glad that the first half of my flow life was completely dedicated to learning how to flow, because the second half is just a whirlwind where I have to rely on my past training to really get me through it while I'm working on all the other cool things. Quantum, hello, welcome. I'm doing good. I hope you're doing well as well. You've helped me a lot. Well, awesome. No, thank you. I'm glad I was able to help you. Every Sunday, man, we are going to be doing this. I'm going to say 5 o'clock from here on out. 5 o'clock every Sunday, we're going to be doing this. So get your questions ready so I can help you all more. Dutch says, thanks for all the tips today. I have enough to train this week. Awesome. Gonna sleep now. See you next week. Have a good night, Gunther. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. All right, new face here, Nimi Tai. Hey Ken, I found your channel last week and watched your videos from 6 years ago. I learned a spin move from your videos. You're awesome. I will donate. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me too that like these videos have been around for 10 years. Like, it's pretty insane. It's really hard for me to remember all the moves that I've taught, to be honest, just because there's always so much and my brain's just full of stuff. Full of techniques from lots of props now and lots of things. I'm really glad that this is helpful though, because if there's one thing that if there's one thing I want to do is I want to leave a mark. I want to leave a mark. I want to teach people how to be better than me. Like, I want you guys to take your training and pass where I'm at, so you can be the next teachers of the next generation, because I can't do this forever, of course. I'll do it as long as I possibly can, but it would be really cool to see this art move forward and just keep expanding, and people coming up with new ideas and giving people the tools to express themselves. I think it's fantastic. Anthony, why don't you sell merchandise from your channel? I would buy it. I probably should. Quite honestly, I looked into it at one point, and it just looked like so much work that I didn't do it. But at the same time, it's like, I think what I'm really trying to say is I need help. I need help. Being a one-man show, trying to get everything together has been really challenging, and I think, to be honest, I need a team of people to help me with flow tricks. I'm just not sure how to make that work, but having someone help with merchandising would be amazing. It would be amazing. I just don't know where to start or how to do it right, you know. And I tried to delve into it a couple times. I sold shirts for a while. I used to sublimate and print my own shirts, my own T-shirts, but it was just a lot of work, and it took most of my time. So I think if I could find someone that could help me with that, that'd be great. If you know someone, drop me a line, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. I would love that. I think I just run out of time, really. Okay, we've run out of questions, or comments, I should say, right now. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to go over a couple more things, just because I've been talking so much. I want to cover a few more nunchuck stuff. So let's continue with our catches. We are going to go over the catches again. Let's go over the catches that we were talking about, because it's been a minute. So the catches are, if you're in two front grips, if you push downward and grab it, it becomes a back grip, back grip, back grip, back grip, back grip. If you push upwards, it becomes a front grip, upwards, front grip, front grip. And you can use this to kind of like create different patterns of catching. You can create like little cool staircases and whatnot. And all I'm doing is just basically locking one hand and pushing it in front like this. So a nice little trick is even just climbing it up and down the ladder and dropping it. The other thing that we worked on is clutch. We knew that one. Remember, you can grab behind it to do like a nice little trick. Another thing we worked on is you can grab it from behind. You have less options, but it does open up your ability to catch it from this side, or you can even drop it and flick it out. And then we worked the bicep catch. We went from here, boom. And then we talked about the play state a little bit, where we could roll it out and we could just, what would you do how else could you do it? I wonder if you could even turn it into a finger roll somehow. I don't know. I bet you could. I just would have to think about it. But even as you catch it here, there's just a lot of different variations that you can do with different kinds of catches. So let's go ahead and do a couple more catches. We have the behind the neck pass, one of the most popular catches. This one, like I said, if you have a swivel with the chain, this one's always nice, because once you catch it here, if you have a swivel with the chain, this is a lot easier, but you can basically brush your hand off to where the chuck is on both sides, so it's resting on your shoulder, and then you just kind of roll your arm down and it'll roll down to the bottom of your hand. You can get away with that with these chucks or with string chucks, but having a swivel, it'll kind of, the swivel will roll itself down your arm, so it's a little bit easier to get that roll down. Not impossible to get it, you just have to have it a little steeper, and it just kind of clunks its way down instead of rolls smoothly down. So that is one nice thing with having chain, is the ability to do this. So we also have the behind the neck catch. We also have the second variation, where once you do the first pass, you let go with your right hand and you swing it across the second time, and then you catch it in a back grip. So first time you're catching it in a front grip, let go, and then your hand reverses backwards and it catches behind you like this. So in one motion, it's here to here. This one takes a little bit of time, but you can practice working on it by simply holding your left hand up, grabbing with your right hand, and then all you have to do is push it behind you and in front of you, behind you and in front of you. And then if you exchange directions, you can basically go into a behind the neck pass from here. So behind the neck pass, in front, and then you can do different kinds of things. The second variation of the neck pass, you've seen me do this motion a lot. One of my favorite combinations to do with the second one is to lift my arm up over my head and then push down into a rip, like that. So behind the neck pass, arm lifts up over the head, push down into a rip, back to front wrist roll, boom. So whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. From there, I usually do a 3 hyper bounce, which is basically tricep, and then I lift it up, and then I slap it sideways. So in one fell motion, it's in the neck pass. Second variant, hand over the head, back to front hand roll, 1, 2, 3. Yes, that's a good one. Really quick, there's a question. Who is Seth in your video? Seth is my son. He's my 18-year-old son. He has been around the flow arts and the fire arts since he was a baby. So he's been doing this a long time. He does not do nunchucks. He likes staff. Staff is his thing. And I think he's gonna move over to poi soon too, but we'll have to see. All right, we're gonna get back to here. So we have, now there's another variant that we have, which is we have the clutch from here and we have the pass, where we're passing it this direction. Another variant is just a reverse version where you just do a clutch on the other side of your arm instead of in front. So instead of a clutch here, you just clutch over here. Again, there's some limitations to what you can do with this, but the easiest one, of course, is going to be the flick. Basically, you lift your hand up and then your arm wraps underneath like this, and then you're going to basically push this arm through, and that will basically, it's just a basic way to get it to flick out. And you'll land almost like in an over-the-shoulder pass. So catch the flick, get your hand to wrap underneath the rope like this, and then you're going to move your hand to the outside. So as this pushes up, it's going to create a circular spin, and we're going to go straight up here. So here, there's a lot of different ways that we can do this. I'm going to show you something here. So the first one that we did was we brought it to the outside and spun it this way. Another way we can do it is keeping it on the inside this way. Now you can hit your face with this, but it may look a little bit cooler straight through like this. And how this works is, as I'm pushing through, I'm keeping this by my chest right here, and then I'm just taking my right hand and I'm spinning it around my body. So catch, roll, and we're basically trying to end in the same spot up here. This one goes to the outside, and then this one goes to the center as we do it. Both of them are good ones, but it's kind of the same concept. Nice thing is your hand is already here. When you do the center one, your hand's already here, so it's a nice variation to get into like a rotor pass, or into a rotor pass. So you go here, catch, catch. See? So again, I'll go in slow motion. Hand rolls here, the right hand rolls into a circle, comes up. Your hand's already here, so you might as well just grab it, right? We haven't gone to leg catches yet. Those are going to be the most common kinds of catches, though, with your hands that I see a lot of people have. Obviously, we also have the cross grab. That's probably another really good catch. We should probably go over it. The cross grab is a fantastic one. Puts your hands in a very nice position and allows you to do mirroring. So if you need to pass it to your opposite hand and you're doing a number 3 bounce, the easiest way is to cross grab it and to kind of flick it into a number 3 bounce on the other side. So I tend to use this one a lot. Not only does it aesthetically look nice, but this is a good combination to work with. I feel like this is a good way to get between the left and the right hand pretty simply. So the way this works is it's the same thing. We're going into counterclockwise with the right hand, and then it's basically going to push inward and we're going to bounce it off of the deltoid on the right. Like this, boom. The moment it bounces, we're going to swoop under. So the hand is going to swoop down and over, and as it swoops down, the other hand is going to cross past it to the point where the backs of my hands are touching. Here, here. From there, it's as simple as taking the hand that originally had the chucks, pushing it to the left, creating a spin, and then on the right hand is going to bounce it, and we're going to do a number 3 bounce on the other side. So this number 3 bounce here is basically the same as the number 3 bounce here. That's all we're trying to do is mirror it. The moment you get that number 3 bounce, it's going to be the same thing. The left hand's going to swoop down and lift up. As it swoops down and lifts up, the other hand crosses over to the other side. So here, grab, and then this is going to flick over. See, I'm flicking it away from my body, so it's coming this way, which is going to cause force to make it spin. Number 3 bounce. Catch, flick, number 3 bounce. Catch, flick, number 3 bounce. And eventually the flick is just kind of I don't know, you don't really feel it, but this is a nice way to transition between moves. Just like that. All right. PPB says, can't believe you've been doing these videos for 13 years. It's great to see your progress and journey. Also, I play electric guitar as well. That's fantastic. Wow. Yeah, I did music before I did this. So guitar, I went to college and studied guitar for a bit. I always thought I was gonna be a musician. Lo and behold, I was supposed to be a circus guy. PPB says, your nunchuck skills for beginners is literally how I got into nunchucks, so thank you for making it easy to learn. Oh no, I'm glad. I feel like I could make better videos nowadays than I could back in the old days, but it's definitely gonna take a lot of work, but I would like to take a look at that. Give me just a second here. Yeah, I'd definitely like to take a look at some of the videos. Like I said, all that will change with the DVD, which is a big, big undertaking. All right, you guys, it is 6:10. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. We're gonna do it every Sunday, 5 p.m. So join me for that for sure. But if you do have any other questions beforehand, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com, or if you know me on Facebook, don't forget my Instagram is, what is it? Ken Hill Fire, KenHill Fire. Join my Instagram or join my TikTok. My TikTok is just Flowtricks, super easy. So I hope you guys have a great day. And again, most importantly, as if you guys were here from the beginning, I was a little distracted in the beginning just because my brain has been thinking about. It's just a rough time in America. I think like it's growing pains and we need it, but it's just hard to see a lot of the struggles that have been happening lately. And I just hope for the best for all you guys. Do you all stay safe, do the things you need to do, and y'all have a good night. All right, I will talk to you all soon. All right, take it easy. Again, message me if you need.